everybody. How you doing? We've got an interesting episode today. As you can see, the screen is looking a little different. There's normally two, and now there's three. And the reason for that is I've got my special guests on the show today. They are the London property siblings. Now, I don't want to cause a sibling rivalry fight, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself in the right order because I don't want to say who comes first or who comes last. So would you mind introducing yourself?
There's only one order. Natalie, go first.
I was going to let you go first since you're my older brother. But, I'll take it.
I tell you what, that is the classic line. Anywhere we go together, that's how I get introduced. If Natalie's having a conversation with somebody, that's my older brother. That's the first thing that's said. Sibling rivalry. I look younger.
Whatever. So, hi everyone. My name's Natalie. I'm one half of the London property siblings.
Hey, Natalie.
Hi.
My name is Andre. I am the other half of the London property siblings.
So I noticed no one said better half or anything. It's just other half, right? Yeah.
We're going to start a war here.
I know.
Two halves certainly make a whole.
Oh, there you go. Andre with the bars again. There'll be more of those bars on the show, I'm sure. Okay, so why don't you tell us what you do in property. What you're doing in property at the moment.
So what we're doing in property at the moment is we're focusing really on more of the creative strategy. So when you're looking at your rent to rent, your lease option deals, we're also looking at assisted sales. But that's something in property that we've come to a bit later in our journey. I don't know if we want to take it back and go back to how we started. Andre was actually the kind of ringleader, so I'll kick over to him to kind of talk about how we got into this.
I think it's easy to say the journey started, but I'd say that's pretty much what happened at this point. Right. How many years ago now? Maybe 11 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
12 years ago, I was an aspiring athlete. I was speaking to an older cousin of mine whilst at basketball training. And we got speaking about money, finance, and he told me, go read this book. If you want to change your mindset and you want to uplift yourself, you need to go and read this book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. As a young man,
life-changing book. That's a life-changing book.
As a young man, sometimes when you're listening to your elders, it sort of does that and does that, right?
Yeah.
And something, I don't know what it was, but something resonated about that. And the in one ear, out the other ear definitely happened. But I picked up the book 4 years later. Something came back to me, and so I picked the book up, I read it, and I thought, wow, this is fascinating. Robert Kiyosaki had such a way of being able to script out the difference between the thought process of the poor and the rich, and that's all the differences between us. It's not money, it's just the way we think and the way we approach money. So I was then at work one day, I was reading a newspaper and I saw an article there where Rich Dad were doing a free seminar.
Okay.
Talk about financial freedom, cash flow. So I decided to go. I went along, it was a great night, great talk, and they upsold their 3-day training through Legacy.
It sounds like deja vu because I feel like I went through a similar experience. Yeah.
So I didn't hesitate. I signed myself up and I signed Natalie up without her knowing. I then went back.
Big bro.
Natalie was in university at the time. I was in my early 20s. I think Natalie was first year of university.
Yeah, I was literally in.
Yeah. So Natalie was first year of university. So I told her, look, I signed you up. We're going. It's going to be brilliant. Don't worry about anything. And let's just go. And then we went there, and it was a very mind-blowing 3 days. It was something that you just wouldn't expect, the kind of things that you were hearing that people were doing with property. I mean, as a young person, you always aspire to be able to own your own home. But there was just so much involved with it, so many creative aspects, so many things that you could do with bricks and mortar, to be able to create a better life for yourself. Natalie, how did you find those days when we went on that training?
I remember being really confused.
Wait, first of all, what was your response when Big Bro said we're doing this? Was it like, okay, yes, sir, or was it what are you on about? What was your response?
I'm just a pretty go with the flow kind of person. So when he said it, I was just like, cool, I'll come down. That'll be it. Okay. Sounds interesting. Sounds like something. So yeah, I didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't kind of pushing back or anything like that. But he had read the book before we went, and I hadn't read the book, so I was just kind of going it cold. I was like, what is this? And then I remember a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, it's so good that you're here if only I'd known this when I was this young. And obviously as the story progresses, you kind of realize it didn't matter that I knew it that young. But I remember we were playing the cash flow board game, which is actually available online if anyone actually wants to try and play it. But I just remember being so confused by this idea of assets and liabilities. Like, I just didn't get it. And I remember the adults around the table looking at me like, why is this so hard? And I was just like, I don't understand the concept. I don't understand what's going on here. But I think for me, going to that event, it just showed me, even though I was on this path, I was on that go to university, get a job, all that road, that there was another way. Right. So I kind of left that event knowing, okay, I can continue here, but I have another choice.
You have another choice, another path. Yeah. And I think that's so powerful because I have read. I mean, have you since read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah.
It's
I've read it like 5 times.
Yeah,
I'm reading it now actually. So.
It's something to kind of keep reading over. I remember, I think I went to the same event, and there was a feeling that it's like, wow, this is something that I had never even thought is possible. I think it was just more the possibilities of like, okay, I can do more, and things that I might have considered to be out of my reach, seems like it's being done by people who are at least as smart as me, so yeah, that was, I think it's interesting that you said it took you 4 years to sort of not for the penny to drop, but for you to go back and pick the book up, because I think I've had a similar experience with property, because it's been a while since I went to that event and sort of dabbled in some of these property trainings, but it's one of those things that it keeps coming back. Like, you come full circle, because maybe you go around and you try things and other endeavors, but it's like, do you know what? There's something to this property game. So let me stick it out. Okay. So fast forward. What happened after that?
Fast forward, life happened. I had a child. And sort of focused on work.
Yeah.
I felt like property wasn't going to work at that point in time, because after that 3-day course was another upsell to the mastermind, which was, should I say, a lump of money that I knew I wasn't going to have in cash.
Yeah, cash. I remember that. Yeah.
So I thought, with what I learned from the 3 days, I could definitely go on and do something. But it sort of flatlined, and we didn't say anything about it. Really, we didn't discuss it any further. And we had a moment. I think this was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Brother-sister discussion. We sat down in a room, and we were talking about our aspirations in life. The things that we want to do, where we were at the time.
Yeah.
And and we started to float ideas, and we said, well, how are we going to be able to do that? And one of the things that I said was, well, property. I think property could get us there. So I started to speak about property again because I wanted to get in. I wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
And I remember Natalie's response at the time was that she wasn't really interested in property and it's not something that she wanted to do.
Right.
And, I never forget this quote, and I'm not gonna take I'm not gonna take the ownership for the quote. It's something I definitely got from somewhere. But I said to her, it doesn't have to be the thing that you do for life. It just needs to be the mechanism that gets you to where you want to go. So let it be the vehicle that takes you to where you want to be.
Yes.
And from
that, I'm just gonna let Andre take over because these bars are just like he's lashing me with the wisdom.
That line comes from LeBron James's Pee-wee basketball coach. I say Pee-wee because it's before high school.
Okay.
It was one of his best friend's dad. So yeah, Natalie, do you remember what that conversation was like and where we went from there?
Yeah, I just remember it kind of because at that point I'd been working for a couple of years, and I was like, yeah, this work thing's not all it's cracked up to be. I was like, how do we get around this? How do I get to where I'm trying to go faster? So yeah, we decided to pick up property again. And I think the interesting thing is that I think there's a lot of people who end up going to these courses and then they end up learning all this stuff but falling off. And you always have people at every stage doing that. And at this point, we're like, okay, we're ready, we're going to do it. We did another like really low investment course just to kind of get us up to date and up to speed. And we were super excited. We picked our investment area. We were going to go up to the Midlands, and we went up to the Midlands every Saturday, and we were looking at houses, talking to estate agents, all those kinds of things, analysing deals back down on the train in the evening. Like
that massive action, right? Yeah,
we had that fire, and we were expecting to get a capital injection from family member, and basically it just completely fell through. It was like, we'd done all this work and we were super excited, and then it was like, no, you're not getting that money. It was like
so it's a bit of a roadblock, right? Like stumbling.
But then I think at the time we did see it as kind of as a stop sign,
right?
And I think it should have been a stop sign. It should have been a diversion. It's like,
okay, yeah,
maybe we need to go this way, because when I think about it now, we could have probably just raised the money to do those deals.
With private finance. Yeah, it's interesting because. No, sorry, continue. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we weren't thinking that way. We were just thinking, when you're so tunnel vision, when you're like, okay, we're getting this money, we're chasing this pot of money, and then it materialized. Then it's like, okay, what do we do? Do we just pack this property thing? Like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So we found out about the more creative investment strategies around rent, lease options, sales, and we were like, okay, this is some way that we can get into a market for not no money down, but low money down.
Low money down, yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, this is much more attainable. That's a new avenue that we can take. And the route that we're on, really, that's the path we've been on for the past couple months. It's been a roller coaster.
I can completely relate. I mean, just kind of circling back to what you were saying about, you're expecting something to go somewhere. You had the door seemingly shut in front of you, and when you have situations like that, it can be very natural to, like you say, give up and just say, this property thing is not for me. But it's good, it's good that you didn't do that. And even if like you take a moment to regroup, like there's always another way, and I think you've just kind of mentioned even in that sort of description that, there's other things. So let's say you now got back to a position where you would be looking at a similar thing. You could potentially go with private finance or other things, and I've had situations like that in the past where things haven't worked out, but rather than sort of pack it in, you always think, okay, there's a million and one ways to skin a cat, and what's going to be my way. I think that's one of the resounding lessons that I'm learning now at this stage of my property journey, because I think I have the benefit of having seen so many people do it one way, do it another way, or do the same way but slightly different. So I'm like, okay, let me look at myself, and what is my temperament, what is my skill set, what am I good at, what am I not so good at, which property strategy, and what are my goals, like what's my vision, which property strategy most closely matches all of those things. And there's always something, and I think I'm very much in a similar position, to you guys, in terms of like, okay, let's get this thing over the line, so how's things like right now? What part of your process or journey are you at, and trying to hit next?
I think the part that we're at now is sourcing out potential deals, and that is through direct to vendor marketing.
Right.
So we're going straight to landlords, straight to people that are selling properties, and having those conversations and making offers. I think we've made a few offers so far this year, which haven't gone as well as we'd expected. We've had one or two nail biters where we've been sweating on the other end of the phone, putting across what we know is going to be the best deal that the vendor's ever going to get. And because it's not the quote unquote norm, it may not be the quote unquote norm. It's going to be an offer that we believe is going to get them or sell them more for their property over a period of time. So it may be like a period of 18 months, rather than sometimes a whole offer up front. Because sometimes where you have to offer up front, if you're doing buy, refurbish, refinance, you have to buy below market value.
Right.
We try to encourage where a property is up for sale, that if they give a period of time, that will pay more for their property.
So you're hitting them with like the extra. Okay.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting in that sense, and looking at landlords who are tired of dealing with tenants and essentially managing their properties for them. So that's the major factor. We've done quite a few viewings over the last couple of weeks, so a lot of conversations are being had, and some more offers to be put out there. So that's where we are at this point in time. Direct to
vendor. No, because it's interesting. Direct to vendor is something that I'm trying to do a lot more of myself, and I always wonder, like, what's the most effective method of direct to vendor. So at the moment, doing a bit of direct to vendor sourcing for sort of rent to rents. So going on Spare Room and making phone calls, sending messages. I think we did a letter campaign, but like obviously you mentioned quite a few of your direct to vendor strategies. I mean, which ones have you found most or least effective?
Letters have been the most effective.
Letters have been the most effective, yeah. Okay. So you get a lot of callbacks on it.
Yeah. What I would say is it depends. Well, it kind of depends on what the letters are for. So, for example, if we're sending a letter to HMO list, the response rate is a bit lower. So for every 100 letters, we'll probably get one callback.
How many letters did you send out?
We sent out 400 the last time we did.
Right.
So we sent it out to the entire borough.
Yeah, so we sent, So those do fairly well, but when we send letters, so when we crawl through websites like Zoopla or Rightmove and identify properties that we think could be potential deals, we will send them a direct letter where we can. Those typically get really good response rates. For every 10 we send out, we get about 4 callbacks. So that's really good. But yeah, I find letters work the best. We've done calls as well. So look, we have a whole like KPI tracking spreadsheet, and we're saying, that's how we assess the health of our business on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. How many calls a day, right? How many? Yeah,
because for a long time we were kind of like, oh, okay, well, we want this many deals, and it's like, okay, but what do you actually need to do to get those deals?
To get those deals,
yeah. So that's where we're trying to focus our energy. So doing calls to landlords on spare room, have their number up. Also, landlords and owners on Gumtree, sending out the letters to those we identify on Supla. I think those are the main ones, and the HMO list.
Okay. And what are your KPIs? Like, how do you know if you're tracking well towards a deal? Like, how many calls do you are on your target list?
Target.
Target.
The target is 20 phone calls a day.
20 calls a day, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's stated at 20 phone calls, but it's 20 contacts. So contact 20 people in a day. But the primary thing that we should be doing is picking up the phone and calling them. Do have a contact number. So if a contact number is available, for a vendor or a landlord, then we would call. If the contact number is not available, then we would message via email or letter.
Sometimes calling is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Like, I really want. It's like, is it a cold call?
Yeah, I had that same problem when I started making calls, because it's like, what's the person gonna think? Am I gonna be, stuttering? Is he gonna find out that I don't know what I'm talking about? And how have you guys managed to, or what's your approach to that whole anxiety? Have you guys found a way around it, or how do you guys handle it?
I don't know what Andre's going to say, but mine's just like feel it and push through.
Right.
it's like it's only what as they say, it's kind of like building a muscle, isn't it? The more you stress the muscle, the more
the stronger it gets. Yeah.
So essentially it's just like you just have to do it until you suddenly, eventually you're going to feel comfortable with it. You're going to feel okay, because you realize when you make the calls, it's not, no one's dying. Like no one, it's not, it's just not that serious.
It's not life and death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The worst someone can say is, don't call me again.
Is no, exactly, literally.
It's
like, fine, okay, I won't.
It's so true. It's so true. And I definitely feel that anxiety when I'm making that. It's the first call. The first call.
Right.
Anxiety. I had, but I think there's two particular people that I've been meaning to call, and Natalie's been asking me to call them for the best part of the last 14 days. And I hadn't, because of anxiety.
Okay, yeah.
And today I looked at my phone, and what's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that can happen? And our mum always said to us, nothing beats a yes, but a no. So always ask. You never know what answer. The worst, as Natalie just said, what's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that could happen, right?
My phone again, exactly. But it's so funny because both those people were very, very lovely people.
You called them, yeah?
They were very lovely people. They were people that I spoke to prior.
Okay. So it was like a follow-up call.
It's literally just a follow-up call.
And that is the big lesson, I think, in all of this, was realizing that your deals aren't really in the first contact.
Yeah.
And mostly in the follow-up. And we were really struggling with the follow-up process, and we've only really just kind of getting it together in terms of standardizing something where we're actually putting in time checkpoints and marking them in Trello, so we get a notification.
Trello. Okay. Systems and systems and that. Okay.
Yeah. But I've spoken to so many experienced investors, and they're like, it's all in the follow-up. Like, if you're not following up, then you're not going to get the deal.
I completely agree. I mean, I can relate to everything you just said in terms of, so first of all, the anxiety around calling someone. I think I've experienced it in a sense where it's like, ooh, this looks promising. This could be something. It's like, if I call it, I'm going to mess it up. So let me keep it in that like interesting kind of mythical.
The worst part is when you get into a good flowing conversation, and you know everything you want to say,
Yeah.
but you start to get the sweats, and
Yeah.
it
I know.
sounds like your voice is trembling a little bit. You know what I mean? It's the worst thing in the world. But once you get past the first call, you're like, right, okay, I've done it. I can do it again. And then you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
that anxiety is definitely one to get through, but you just have to remember it's not going to kill you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely, take the leaf out of Natalie's book and what you say, feel it and push through, right? Because
Yeah.
what I found is the more calls that I've made, you feel a little bit more confident. Even like, so, I used to start off with scripts, and the scripts help. But what I found is actually for these types of calls now that I'm making, that I've made quite a lot of, I don't need the script as such, because I can navigate the conversation, enough to be able to like build the rapport and kind of get to the next post, or next milestone for the call. But again, I think for me the challenge has been in the follow-ups, because I 100% agree, deals aren't made on the first. I mean, if you get a deal on the first call, I wouldn't even trust that, because like who is this guy or girl that has like I would. It seems a bit weird, but like it's all about the follow-ups. And I've had, the pattern that I've seen is the more times I call a particular person, the more receptive we get. So there's one deal that I am currently, it's not even over the line yet, but there's a deal in somewhere up north that I've been following up for, I'm not even gonna, like 2 months, literally 2 months, just literally calling every week, every 2 weeks for an update. And every time I do call, I get either a bit more information or more of an opening, to the point where, like, it sounds weird, but I'm only going to be able to view that property next week, because there's been complications and roadblocks along the way on the vendor side. But to me, I'm learning that follow-ups is key.
Yeah.
But I'm also learning that, especially when I'm dealing with vendors like this, I'm learning to present myself as a solution provider, So I feel anxious. I feel more anxious when I'm in the mindset of, oh, I'm trying to sell you a product, or I'm trying to sell you a service. But actually, if I've taken the time to really hear what somebody is saying and going through, I feel a little bit better, and I think it aligns more with my values, because I do like to help people. So really, that's what I'm trying to make come across more in my conversations, where it's like, I'm trying to build rapport, I'm trying to build a relationship, but I'm also trying to see how I can help. And I think when I'm doing that, I feel a little bit more at ease, because if we get to a deal, then it would have been because I've actually been able to solve a problem for you, But ask me in about a month and let's see if it works.
It's so important to have that moral compass and revert back to it, because that's the truest part of us, isn't it? And we were talking about that. We had a conversation with J2 Estates, who are startup in property as well. Very great couple in Julian and Jody. And we were talking about, in closing, we talked about our whys and what we want to bring us, and that moral, it shows a person's true moral compass when they tell you what they want out of it at the most. And like you said, it is solving a problem for many people. And what many people want to do going on from property is that even more, just helping people more generally in life. So no,
absolutely, man. I mean, speaking of whys, do you have any whys that you feel comfortable sharing? Like, so what keeps you in what brought you back into the property game? What keeps you in the property game? Like, why are you in this?
Natalie, I'll let you lead.
What keeps me in this is, so for everyone, it's financial freedom, right? It's freedom of time, but freedom of time to do what? So for me, it's being able to pursue my dream as a screenwriter, to be able to create multi-dimensional Black characters for TV. That would be my dream, but also to create, and I don't fully have the kind of understanding of how it would work in terms of the mechanisms, but a summer success camp for young people from poorer backgrounds to learn about wealth building and sustaining wealth, mindset, health, just all the things that you actually need to thrive as an adult. So a kind of immersive experience over summer for young people to really hone in and learn those skills. Like that's my like lifetime goal. I'm like, if I could do that, I'm just like, I will die a happy woman. I've done what I need to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And the thing is, you know, it makes now sense why, you know, you're sticking at it, because a deal going over the line, that's a minute, or going over the line or not going over the line is a minutia in comparison to the goal that you have. The goal that you have is very, very profound, and I can see how it keeps you focused on it, you know.
So I'd say maybe it's a bit
sorry,
woo.
yeah.
No, I was going to say maybe it comes across as a bit woo-woo, but it's you know,
No,
all
it
of
doesn't.
us have unlimited potential. We have
Yeah.
so much potential, and you know, we're so wrapped up in other things which are kind of consuming our time, that if we could actually get a bit of freedom around our time, what could we do?
This is it. I've said for the longest time that, because obviously I'm, you know, working full time. I'm, you know, working on a plan to exit, but it feels like you are almost, you know, like if you're in a fight but you're fighting with a hand tied behind your back. That's literally how it feels. And one of the things that motivates me is like, imagine if I actually had both my hands, like figuratively or speaking. Imagine if I had that. Like, what could we do? You know, and that really, really motivates me, because I work hard, you know, but I still feel that constraint. But imagine if those constraints weren't there, what could we achieve? So yeah, man. Sorry, Andre, what was yours?
Oh, my why is to give, or I want to be able to give my daughter an opportunity to step into adult life and be able to do what she loves straight away, rather than have to take the avenues that I've had to take. And also I want to be able to hand her a business that allows her to be financially free. Beyond that, I'm a failed athlete. I had a dream of playing basketball, and I feel like there's so much more that can be done for young kids in the UK with regards to basketball and support. So I would like to start an academy, preferably with my my previous secondary school, and allow kids the opportunity to play basketball at quite a high level, structured level, building a transatlantic link between here and the States to allow coaches in America to be able to see them. I've got this sort of format in my mind where you've got a sports team, you've got a media department in your school. Why doesn't your media department film the games? So you're giving kids live experience of being able to film and create content. And then that footage can be used to be sent around the States, and coaches can see these kids playing basketball and give them an opportunity to go abroad to basketball camps and things like that. So that's what I'd love to create. I've got a few more things in my head as to what I'd like to do, but those are the two big things. So to pass on to my daughter, and to create a basketball academy within the UK.
This is amazing.
Sorry. There's one more thing. There's one more thing. This was always big. I remember Natalie was so surprised when I said this. I've always had this thing in mind where I would love to be able to take homeless people off the street, put them back into homes and put them back into work. So building a scheme that allows me to take homeless people off the street, get them some sort of job training where they can go back into work. It doesn't have to be high profile to start off with. And they could work themselves back into the white collar society, but it then gets them back into homes as well. and off the street. So I've got that as a big one in mind.
These are amazing whys. I love all of them.
What about you,
what's mine? Yeah. What's my why? So I think I'll break it down into maybe twofold. So my immediate why is, there's certain milestones that I want to achieve for my family. And that's, be in a position to send my children to private schools. I mean, I'm not saying that I will send them to private school or not, but it's more to have that as an option to send them to the best private school if I wanted to, and to give my family everything that, they would need. I like what you said, and it's very similar, Andre, in regards to, I'm going to call it the word privilege. I would like my family to have the privilege and the means to do whatever they want. Literally, like, so, the kind of things that my parents would have said, go and read your books. Where if my family wants to go and, wants to go and do art, even though nowadays that's probably more of this is kind of a actual career these days, but like back in the day it wasn't. But you ought to be doing drawing, fine, go and do it. Because
acceptable.
Before it was not acceptable. Literally have the choice to do whatever you want, and you have that security. That's my, I would like my family to be just set. But that's my family now and my family in generations to come. But I think a big goal for me is really, economic empowerment. So I want to, it's like similar to what you were saying now. I haven't really figured out how it will work, but I want to really make strides and be in a position to help, communities and, our community build wealth, and whether it is, by creating wealth generation opportunities, or whether it's by creating wealth education, or whether it's, creating businesses that will give jobs. I just think that there's a gap there, and I think, that's one of my big goals, because I'm the kind of person that I get involved in a lot of activities and stuff like that in terms of projects and business, but overall it really is to make that kind of impact, to our community for generations, economically, so so I do see myself setting up multiple businesses, for the sole purpose of that. So, and I think you guys really mentioned this at the beginning, in a sense of when you guys had your, intervention moment about, okay, we're doing this again. It's a vehicle. I see property as that kind of vehicle to kind of generate the wealth and the freedom to then go on and like do. Because I asked myself a question: do I think I'm going to be in property like in the capacity that I am now forever? Probably not. Obviously we'll still be building wealth, but I think it will just help us to get to like the next rung in the ladder, then to do. I feel like if you think about it, like the cash flow game and the Rich Dad Poor Dad, is like getting us onto the fast lane. That's kind of really what I'm into. Cool. All right. Sorry, were you going to say something, Natalie?
No, I was just going to say that, like what you said, basically that property is one way, right? But the people who build massive amounts of wealth, they're not just in one lane.
Exactly.
They have multiple
streams of income. 100%. Yeah.
So that's the end of it.
And I mean, I do have creative leanings as well. So one of the things that, funnily enough, that I want to get into in the future is, so I've talked about fighting with my hand behind my back. If I could do anything I want and not have any responsibility, it would be in the creative space. It would be writing, it would be making films, it would be making music, it would be all of that, and I'm kind of involved on some level and some activities, but like responsibilities take over. But if I had nothing, if like, sitting on making, 100K a month from sourcing, then or whatever it is,
speak it into existence.
Right. It will be something very creative that I'll be doing. Because these are things that like, when you do something effortlessly, but you love it. That's things that I'm really passionate about. But of course, we have to stick to the path initially. So
yeah, have to put in some work to get there.
Basically,
some more work.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But it's a beautiful why, because it keeps me going. And it's like, I want my daughter to be able to just like walk into the room and be like, I want to do this, whatever room it is, boardrooms or whatever. Cool. I know that we're kind of almost getting to time. So just quickly, I want to talk about teamwork and emotions. So I know you mentioned earlier on that, emotions is something that you want to touch on, but teamwork. The reason why I want to talk about teamwork is obviously you guys are in this as a team. And, I also operate with a team in terms of my property endeavors. And there's different types of people, right? There's people that go it alone, and there's people that go it, as a contingent. Like, how have you found team working? And do you think why did you opt for that kind of approach? And what's your outlook on that?
I think to start off with, I'm always nice. To start off with, I looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, I could. I never once thought that I would go into property and just do it alone. I knew I would with success. I would want my sister there with me. Because that's the love that I have from my sister.
How's that for nice, sis?
So that's why in the early days when I heard about the 3-day course, I bought Natalie a ticket and just said, "Come with me." And again, with property, when we spoke about it a couple of years ago, it was I want us to be able to do that together, because one, wanting us to be able to do it together, and two, it's a family legacy as well, more than anything. And I, as well as achieve my dreams, I want to see her be able to achieve her dreams, and I want to be able to support her doing that as well. So I think that's a big thing when I decided that I wanted it to be the two of us. And plus, myself and Natalie are very similar in our approaches to things, and we both have different skill sets.
Right. So you complement in that sense.
Yeah. So Natalie definitely has her strengths, and her weaknesses. I have my strengths and I have my weaknesses, and we pick up for each other in that factor. So I feel we've definitely bounced off of each other very well with when it comes to teamwork. So there are times, because there's two of us, it's definitely a benefit. So there's times where one of us might be sailing and flying high and absolutely maximizing everything, and the other one might just be lumbered with a load of work or something else that's going on in personal life. And that's never really a personal matter, because the goal is central. It's never one or the other. It's always central. So it's always been a massive benefit.
I think two is definitely better than one, because even just like a small example, like this week, I'd kind of double booked. We had a viewing, and then I had a work thing that I just couldn't get out of. And I was like, "Well, Andre, can you take it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm there."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But even just something like that, it's just it just makes it so much easier when it's two of you. Yeah. Some people do decide to go it alone, but I think property is a hard game, and sometimes you need someone who you can be like, "Oh, isn't this?"
Literally.
Yeah.
It's that saying, if you want to go fast, go it alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And I've always been a firm believer, because sometimes I ask myself, like, I could do this, man. I could do this by myself. But there's also times when it's like, I'm so glad that I have people that will back it, for me, in the sense of, like you say, I can't, I'm feeling down, or I can't really physically make this thing right now. Team is there. And I think separately to that, because my goals, it's almost like I feel like I've not achieved my goal unless everybody has achieved the goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it a Drake saying, you know, my whole team winning, or what's one? I'm not really a Drake fan, but he's got one of those lines that's a bit catchy. Anyway,
something about being at the top.
I wasn't going with that. Yeah, no, that's a good line, but no, it was more. There's a line anyway about like doing it with the team. Basically, a whole team should be winning, in my opinion. And for me, the team is family. It's your friends. It's and this is different from doing business with friends. It's more like coming up together with friends. So even if my friends are not doing property, like I want everybody in the circle to be going up, you know, because like we're all got our different vehicles, you know, one of them might be property, one of them might be a business, one of them might be trading, whatever, but we all find our way to that next rung. And then once we're at that next rung in the ladder, then it's like, okay, now let's come together and let's do something, you know, amazing, you know, let's leverage that. You know, but again, speaking to your phrase, you said lonely at the top, right? I don't want to be lonely at the top. Like, what's the point of being there?
You know, the great thing about that, Paula, is like your friends and your peers, they'll see what you do, and like when once they see the success coming, they're going to want to do business. They're going to want to understand it more. They're going to want to have those conversations, and naturally, you're going to have those conversations, and ideas are going to come out of their minds of things that they want to do. And because you've already stepped into the business world, the entrepreneurial world, you're going to be there and do that business with them. And that's what we want to do, and be able to do business with our friends, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I've always thought of because I guess if we speak about investors, now there's lots of things and lessons and teachings and advice on how to find investors. But one of the things that I've found that has been working for me in terms of like being able to attract, you know, interest from investors, it's been friends and colleagues that like, okay, you know,
sorry
doing property. That's okay.
Stop. Sorry.
Man. It's all good, man. I keep looking back in case that happens to me, because I've been on so many calls at work where, you know, when it's literally the moment you want to call that somebody wants to come in. So my daughters, I've just started putting her on my lap now. I'm just like, oh yeah, hey guys, let's say now in terms of so friends and colleagues can be your investors, you know, because some of the deals that we're trying to pen at the moment, it might not involve too much of an investment, but it's maybe in the region of maybe, you know, a couple of grand, maybe maximum like 20-30 grand, and that you could get from friends. Get from friends, you know, and because the proposition there could be just like, okay, you could keep it in your bank and you get your 1 or 2%, or, you know, put in our project, you get yourself 6 to 10. And then like that, you know, so, and again, that's a whole way of, you're not selling. You're actually not selling. You're just saying, listen, I'm providing you with help. You're not getting this, you know, so, but it's just kind of talk about, and this is how the team goes up together, you know, so.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I did want to touch on something a bit sticky. What annoys you about each other? Because obviously in teamwork, you know, especially in close quarters, there's going to be times when you want to, you know, rip somebody's head off. I know it happens to me. So.
Andre, you go first.
Be careful what comes out of your mouth next, Andre.
I honestly don't know what to say, because I don't have I generally don't get those kind of annoyances with Natalie, because I'm the type of person that when I know who you are as a person, I accept who you are as a person. So I think the annoyances thing kind of went at childhood. If we used to bicker and fight a lot as kids.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
Barely ever got on as kids, but yeah,
such a good older brother.
It's difficult to pick out an annoyance, if I'm honest.
Well, let me get my list.
Go on.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
How much time have you got, right?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I do echo that. I think it's just maybe because we haven't got into the deals yet. Maybe that's why we're just so, our goals are really aligned, and I think we just have those really strong conversations about where we're trying to go to. And I think we've obviously grown up together, and we know that at the end of the day, he has my back, I have his back. No one's like trying to harm the other person. So even if we have like a mild disagreement, it's just a matter of like, okay, this is my opinion, this is your opinion. How do we come together?
How do we get? Yeah.
And that's really it. I tell people that because people often ask, how do you guys work together as siblings? Like, I could never work with my brother and my sister. Like, they're absolutely nuts. And I just say, our mum has very kindly threatened us
Okay.
that if we were ever to argue over money or property, that she would haunt us from the grave one day. And I personally don't want her ghost of me. So it's like, Mom, you know what? It's not worth it. We'll be fine. We'll just, we'll take it easy.
Yeah,
that's really good, man. Very, very. Because I think team synergy is one of the most important things, and it seems like you guys have it in spades. So what about a positive spin on that? Like, so what do you guys like admire about the other person? So what what quality in the other person do you each admire?
I definitely admire Natalie's drive, her can-do attitude, her ability to look at a problem and put it aside to focus on the solution. And we've been there on our property journey. Like Natalie spoke about earlier, we were expecting to be financed in property as a startup, and it fell through. I went through a low and presumed that, this isn't going to happen anymore. And that's Natalie had the strong point, and we looked and started looking at other avenues, got me into looking at other avenues as well, and just really picked me up. So that's probably definitely one of my favorite things about Natalie.
Awesome.
One of my favorite things about Andre is that he is amazingly charismatic. Like, he has a really, really good way with people, and you can see like when we have conversations with like vendors, they're always really taken in by him, and I always think, oh God, I'd love to like be able to emulate that kind of energy and just be like,
he's the charm icon. Yeah.
So he's incredibly good at that, and he's really great with managing people as well. That's his absolute strength. So yeah, there's so much I learned from Andre, and he's just one of those people who is incredibly supportive. Like, I really couldn't have asked for a better older brother. I'll give him that. Like, I will give him that.
We're gonna have to break the tissues out in a minute. Getting emotional. No, that's really good, man.
Business partners.
Say that again.
I think that's what makes us good business partners.
Yeah. No, you guys are so aligned. Because I mean, even me, I'm like, okay, brother and sister, how's that gonna work? But because I know if it was me and my brothers, I don't have sisters, but I don't know.
No, but I mean, we could test it even further. We'll see. But I think just the kind of people we are, just are together.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, I'm gonna whittle across a few more because I know we're at time. But I want to talk very briefly about systems. So I've been talking to quite a few of my guests about systems and the importance of systems and people's opinion. What's your view on systems? And do you use any systems in your business?
We're still trying to work it out, really. So we use Trello as a so I've had this conversation with investors: Trello or Excel. And Excel, I think, is good. But what I like about Trello is we kind of have a template where we have a visual of the property, we have the address, and within it we can put all the details, but also you can comment and put all the actions you've taken. I feel like you can't go into that level with
on Excel.
Yeah, so Trello becomes what kind of like a project library of all the kind of deals that we've analyzed and looked at, with all the numbers in there, all the conversations, all of that. So I personally like Trello for now. I think Excel has its place for sure, but we're just kind of bounding between Trello and Excel as our system. But we have to see what scales once we're getting to a bigger more deals.
Awesome.
It's definitely necessary, because when you're having conversations and somebody asks you how many offers have you made, or how many vendors have you contacted, you need to be able to know that information. So it has to be tracked somewhere. So you always have to have systems. If you look at just look at anywhere, any successful business has systems in place. So if you want to be a successful business as well, then you will have to have systems in place.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are going to consider things like a CRM, like when you thinking of like scaling a little bit. That's something that we're now considering, because we've got the whole Excel and Google Sheets, and it becomes a bit hard to keep track of everything, and because you have to like manually update. So we're looking at some CRMs that can help to automate some of that process. Okay, now obviously this program is kind of related loosely about cars, because you've got the whole Carpool theme. What's your favorite car? What's your dream car, and why?
Andre, you go.
No, right. I can't say I've ever really had a dream car. I just see nice cars. I see nice cars and I think, oh, that would be lovely. I'll tell you what. One I looked at, I wrote it down. Bear with me.
Mine's going to be the worst of them all.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm just bracing you for that one.
For that, okay. I'm mentally preparing for that.
Where are we? Notes. Oh, I can't find it.
This is going to be good. Okay, just tell. So.
Oh, yeah. Better be a good one, Andre.
What's happened to this?
Okay. I'll go in the meantime.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please do.
I don't drive. Well, I can drive, but I don't drive. And
you like to be driven like a boss,
yeah, right? Basically, I'm just waiting for driverless cars to come out. That is my absolute dream. That's what I'm waiting for. But I mean, the car that I was looking at recently was just like I think it was a Volkswagen e-Golf. That's what I was looking at. But then it made me think back to when I was temping as a receptionist in the Lamborghini showroom in South Kent. And people were coming in and just casually dropping 200 grand on a car. And I'm like, you could give that to me.
I'll keep it for you.
Yeah, I'll hold on to it. I will invest in property one day. So yeah,
is that a dream of yours to like walk back into that shop?
It would be. I think I'd like to have the option, but I feel like Lamborghini. When you see people driving Lamborghinis around London, it's a bit like, why?
It's not very practical, is it?
No, it's not. Maybe if you're racing through Italy, like some of the Lamborghini staff do once a year. Maybe.
One for the bucket list.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, have you got yours, Andre?
Yeah, I found it. It's the name of the car is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Rolls-Royce's SUV.
Oh, I did not even know that Rolls-Royce did SUVs. Wow. I'm just trying to picture what that looks like.
They do. So that would be my dream car, if any.
Are you driving it, or are you in the back getting driven? And is it manual or automatic if you're driving?
I like to drive. Yeah. I do like to drive. So but I also like to be driven as well. So both long distance, I have
long
to be
distance,
driven.
Get someone to take over.
I have to be driven, yeah.
Just take a few Instagram snaps and then you behind the wheel and then in the back.
I'm on driverless cars.
We're not too far off. All right. What's in your Spotify playlist? What are you listening to music-wise?
Oh, I'm actually listening to an artist. Actually two. So one Andre recommended to me, Duchess. And I'm also listening to Chica. She is an American rapper. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am currently listening to an amazing album by John Legend called Bigger Love. John Legend recently
soulful vibes, yeah.
Yeah. He recently did his verses with Alicia Keys, where they went song for song to 20 songs.
Okay. Who won?
Yeah.
Where Andre gets all his lyrics from. That's where Andre gets.
Yeah, I can
it was actually very good. It's worth YouTubing and having a go because they're both sitting down on their pianos playing piano. What I actually learned from it was John Legend, whilst in his early years of university, so I think he was probably about 19. He was brought to a studio session with Lauryn Hill. So he was absolutely nobody at the time, and Lauryn Hill was getting ready to make Miseducation and a lot of Lauryn Hill, and he played the piano on was it That Thing? It was one of her major hits from that album.
That thing,
yeah, he played the piano on that.
Okay.
So this was before he was anybody. So that was an interesting one. But yeah, I'm listening to John Legend at the moment. I'm listening to a young girl by the name of Leela Ike. Okay. She's a young reggae artist, very soulful. And a young English rapper by the name of Keys the Prince.
I've heard of him.
Keys.
Can't know if I've heard any of his music, but
yeah,
heard the name. Okay, solid selection.
How about yourself?
There.
I might get something new to listen to.
So to be honest with you, have you guys heard of this musical called Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not my usual go-to for like music, but I don't know if you've got Disney Plus, the the subscription. Just watch Hamilton, watch Hamilton. Like, you might not be a theatre person or musicals, but it's great. Like, it's amazing, really good. So what they've done is they've taken the story of one of the founding fathers. I think it's the guy on is he on the $100 bill or one of the American bills? And they have told his story almost like through rap and R&B, and the whole cast. Well, the whole cast is ethnic minority, but the majority of the cast is African American. It's so good, really good. And so I've been listening back to the soundtrack on Spotify, and then they've got like a mixtape.
Okay.
Which is the same songs but kind of performed by rap, hip hop and R&B artists, so people like The Roots, Common, John Legend, like other people, like popular musicians, and it's quite good. They've got a song on there called My Shot, so it's like, I'm not gonna throw away my shot. I'm not gonna throw away my shot. And for people like us who are kind of in that sort of mode of trying to attain things or aspire to things, it's very motivational. I found it like, just let me play in the background and like when I'm making my calls, because and then so that's what's in my playlist right now. Cool. All right, so if you were going to advise anybody who is thinking about getting into property right now, what would you say?
Natalie, go first. I just have to grab my charger before my laptop turns off.
Yeah, no worries. I think one more question and we're done. Yeah.
I would say get started, don't wait. And it brings back a quote that I heard, which is, I might get this wrong, but the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So it's like people think, oh, the property market's done this or missed the boat or whatever. You haven't missed the boat. There is an opportunity. Find the way. People are investing in property every day, and you can be one of them. There isn't any reason why you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
100. Okay. What about you, Andre?
What I would say is have a massive why. Because you're going to be tested non-stop, and the only thing that's going to keep you going is the reason why you wanted to get into property. So have a massive why and let that lead you throughout the entire journey, and don't let go.
And can we caveat that by saying money is not the big why?
Exactly. Money is not the big why. Money comes and goes. Money comes up.
It's true. It's true.
Because when it gets
Words of
hard,
wisdom.
like, is there another way to make money?
Yeah. Very wise words, guys. Listen, it's been amazing talking to you. I think we could have talked for longer, but it's been very organic. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure people who are watching or listening would enjoy this. One of the things that I like about what we're doing on the show is we're talking to people from every and any part of the journey, because any part of the journey can inspire someone else, to take the step. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. If anybody wanted to sort of reach out to you to get more information about what you're doing, is there any like socials or contact information you want to share?
You can find us on Instagram at London Property Siblings. That's the best way to reach us. There, really, we're always on there responding to people. So find us on Instagram. Awesome.
Listen, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and wish you all the best with all of your endeavors.